Hey folks, Machinery Pete here down at the Iowa Power Farming Show in Des Moines. Always great fun to come down here, and double fun to come visit our friends at Van Wall Equipment. And here we have Scott Meldrum, Integrated Solutions Manager. And Scott, you are located where in Iowa here?
I have an office at our Nevada location up on Highway 30, which is pretty much our central location geographically.
Okay. And Van Wall, gosh, you guys have been growing so much over the years here, Scott. Let's just update folks. On the ag side, how many stores in Iowa?
19 ag locations spread out over just over 4 million acres of responsibility.
Okay. And if you were to describe to people who aren't from Iowa, where your footprint is, it kind of, what do you say, along Highway 30?
Along Highway 30, north, we go north up to about Highway 20 and south down to about Highway 34, right through the middle of the state.
Okay.
Some of the good black dirt in the middle of the state, but we get into some rolling hills, both on the fringes.
Is that challenging as a dealer to have that different topography and different soil conditions across such a footprint?
It was something we had to learn. Our original footprint was here in the flat black and square, and we had to learn there are other topographies in the state and how they farm on those different different areas.
Sure. Well, Scott, tell us, walk us through here, end of 2018 and into late January here, 2019. How have things been? Let's start with the new equipment sales. How's that been?
New equipment sales were very steady through harvest. And into the end of 2018. It might have slowed up there at the end of December, but talking with our salesman, January of 2019 has really been fairly fast paced.
Yeah, we had Bruce here a minute ago. One of your was he store manager out west?
Yeah.
One of your stores.
Yep.
Talking about January in particular, the sales of tractors have been really robust.
They have, and we've noticed that he was commenting that this was the best January that he's ever had in 23 years, and we're trying to determine what caused that.
Yeah, well, it's interesting with the pressure in ag continuing here. What do you chalk that up to?
I think I chalk it up to farmers. They had decent crops, good crops, but then they need to upgrade, because staying current is paramount, because if you fall behind, whether it's on machinery purchases or on precision technology, the cost to catch up is probably greater than the cost of just staying current.
Right. Well, it's sort of interesting, Scott. What I've been seeing on the used side, it seems like even though times are tough, people are leaning into that that right used planter, or that if the data piece, if it's right, it seems to be a lot of buying heat there.
I would totally agree with that. You'll see some folks that they want that brand new shiny one, first owner, right off the assembly line. But we're seeing folks purchase like used planters, like you said, and then come in and want to do a retrofit upgrade. They can take that planter and get it all the way up to our ExactEmerge planter, and basically they have a brand new planter ready to go to the field.
This is game-changing stuff, basically, isn't it?
It is. It is the ExactEmerge planter. It does everything it says it's going to do. It gives that seed the best opportunity to produce the yield that we're all striving for.
Kind of that word of mouth, that visual proof last spring. Boy, everywhere I went, people were talking about it. Did you see a bump in interest in the retrofitting after?
Oh, yes. I mean, it was word of mouth is huge. You get one person in the neighborhood that takes the initial plunge, and they will talk to the neighbors. The neighbors will come look, and then before you know it, you have folks coming in and starting to investigate. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get them to commit, but once they do, they've been very positive experiences.
How about here as January 19 is about to close, and we get into February, getting close, despite the cold temperatures today. Planting is coming up soon. Are you having a lot of retrofit jobs you're working on right now for Van Wall?
We do. I tried to total up the other day. I think that we're close to probably maybe 10 retrofits, 10, 12 total. We've got about half a dozen going on, anywhere from 16-row planters all the way up to DB90 36-row planters.
Okay.
All of them with individual row hydraulic downforce. I mean, that if you are going to plant anything over 5 miles an hour and want to maintain depth, you really got to look seriously at the hydraulic downforce.
And so that's a hot button when guys come in and want to.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Now, covering such a footprint like you do, is there the variety of planter models and variations and setups, is there a sweet spot, or is it kind of run across the gamut with the retrofitting?
You know, it runs across the gamut. You know, if we go down in southeast Iowa, where we go down around our Oskaloosa area, there's a lot of 1790s. They really believe in that split row planter.
Yep.
Starting to see some retrofits down there, or brand new exact emerges.
Okay.
Here in the heart of our territory, the bread and butter still the 24 row 1770. The NT planters, they're the workhorse. They're the 40-20 of the planters these days.
And now, when did the retrofitting, as you look back, when did that the heat and the momentum really start to kick in on that, would you say, Scott?
You know, we've been doing retrofits for probably 2 years, 3 years in earnest. But, you know, last year we probably did half a dozen as a company, and we've doubled that this year. And I don't see that slowing down, just because it allows a grower to maintain their piece of equipment and get a new one, and the price to trade is probably a little it's less than the price to trade.
Right. So, Scott, just a little background here. How long have you been with Van Wall?
I came to Van Wall in March of 2010, and I started off as a field precision specialist out of our Story City location, and then moved into the manager role here about 6 years ago.
Okay. So you're kind of in the bullseye of farming these days in terms of data, precision ag. Just talk about how that's evolved the last couple of years here.
You know, when I started, you know, we had the Apex software, and we were able to make some pretty maps and things like that, and now we're getting data off board of a machine before the farmer maybe is even done with that field. It's constantly updating, so they can look on their smartphone and they can see yields, because, you know, we're making decisions for the next year while we're still harvesting the current year's crop. We may need to get information to tile or fertilizer suppliers. So getting the data and analyzing it and making that data pay, we have to show the value on that. And that was something that when I started this job almost 9 years ago, I never thought that we would be this deep into it.
Right. It's yeah, that's return on investment. I mean, it's where it's at, and if you can help that producer save a little bit here or there, be more efficient, that's kind of what it's all about, isn't it?
And that's the thing, we call ourselves, my guys are solution specialists, but we actually need to, every solution we bring has to bring value to that farmer, because with their margins so tight these days, if you can't show them a return on investment in a fairly short amount of time, I don't know how far you're gonna get with the discussion. So everything has to have value to that grower, whether you're making his operation run easier, maybe you're giving him some form of a competitive advantage, or making it more profitable. Every bit has to be of value to his operation.
And with data, you know, we tend to, in precision, we tend to talk about the planting side of it, but talk about how it's sort of evolved through the whole
it has, you know,
world.
With, you know, we were kind of talking earlier that, you know, tillage used to be the almost simplest operation on a farm, where you would plug a couple hydraulic hoses in and go to the field. Now with our true set depth control, we are documenting tillage. So now we can maybe go back and maybe look at a yield map, and it might be correlate to a tillage operation. Or maybe we have an area of the field that maybe we need to work a little bit deeper. We can adjust that from the cab, so we can use tillage in our cropping system, all the way to application. We're documenting how much product we're putting on, of each chemical, all the stuff, variable rating, all the way throughout the cropping cycle, and it's all data driven. The other thing that the data can drive into now is a risk management strategy, a grain marketing strategy. So the data is the hub, and without good, accurate data coming off the machine, a lot of other aspects can maybe suffer.
So are you seeing, Scott, you've seen this evolve with your position over the years, but at this point, farmers you deal with, talk about the different age range and how the different reactions to that. I think that, well, I'll just be curious to get your take on it, how it's evolved.
So the demographic of today's farmers, as everybody knows, is changing. We have some younger generations coming in, and they're the tech savvy ones, which is great. They're the ones who can, might be the asset on the farm when we have some issues creep up. But the older generation, if you take the time You know, they may not have a computer at home, but if you take the time to show them how to operate the technology, but then to follow that up, if they have questions, be available to answer those questions when they call.
Sure. And that's my sense too, is that they, even if they're older, they're leaning in big time on this data, because again, it's all about return and being more efficient. Well, let's pivot a little bit and just talk about maybe, so we're coming off of last fall on the harvest side, combine sales, new and used for Van Wall. What did you guys see here in Central Iowa?
Combine sales were strong all fall, both new and used. We had such a difficult fall. You know, and then there were also, I mean, four-wheel drive kits were huge, helping guys get through the field. There were some farmers putting on some aftermarket track systems on their combine to try to stay up out of the mud. There's also a big market for the LSW tires, which was huge because it doesn't reduce transport speed, but gives you really good flotation in poor underfoot conditions.
Okay. And what would you say on back in the background of the shot here? We got the big Haggy sprayer back there. Sprayer market, how's that been for you guys in 2018, early 19?
You know, sprayers are a hot commodity. Used sprayers especially. I mean, if we can get some really good used sprayers, farmers are liking that. Because then they can take control of that operation. They can spray when they want.
Right.
They can spray what they want, and then they also control how well it gets sprayed. So it's something that a sprayer has the potential to be one of the most profitable pieces of equipment on a farm. Because they're very versatile, and we're finding that, you know, like with the Haggy, which is a high clearance, late season nitrogen is coming on. I mean, we're finding that plant's going to need that nitrogen later in the season. Towards grain fill, and with a high clearance sprayer, a farmer can get out there and do it when his crop's ready, and maybe not have to wait for a custom applicator to come do it.
Okay, now we'll jump from the sprayers kind of back to the data piece.
Sure.
Again, you're kind of where you're focused, Scott. But so with data being prominent with everything across the farm operation, how is Van Wall positioned to really, truly partner with your customers and help them with all these data decisions they have to make at every turn?
And you said it's partner with them. We have to get out there and meet with our growers one-on-one. That way we can be their, I like to call it strategic partner, because with being a partner, when they experience highs, you experience highs. When they experience lows, you're right there with them. But to know that you are ingrained in their operation and hold their hand through it all until they're comfortable with it, we like to use a term that we want to make that data uploading, that data analysis, Fisher Price easy. I want
Price
them,
easy. I like that.
I want them to be able to go to their smartphone and one click, and they can see their yield maps. I want them to know how to do that, and whether it's us doing a one-on-one at their kitchen table, whether they come into the dealership and we're in the office going through it, but answering their questions, because if I found out that if they have questions, they don't get answered, they aren't going to use it, and they're going to delete that app. They're not going to upload their data. And if we're not utilizing that data, either Van Wall isn't going to be working with that grower and showing the value, but they're going to go somewhere else, or they're not going to use that data. And I think if they're not using that data, they may start to fall behind.
Fisher Price easy. I haven't heard that, but I love that, Scott. You should patent that. That's good. Now, as you've grown, so you've been here again 10 years. Talk about the head count in your department to help with the precision ag and the data.
You know, when I started here, there were 3 of us. We had 5 ag locations at that time. There were 3 of us in the precision department. We've grown from 5 ag stores to 19 ag stores in that time, and I have added staff from the 3 of us. Now I think I've got upwards of 11 or 12 precision specialists. I've got an agronomist on staff, and it's all there to take care of the customer's needs. If they're not working with an agronomist, we'll have a conversation. Because if you've seen kind of a flow chart for a farmer, one day he is a grain marketer, a dispatcher, an agronomist, a banker, a financial advisor. So if we can help with any of those things and lighten his load, and he can focus on maybe some other things, we're more than happy to do that.
Right. Okay, now Scott, 10 years into the business for yourself. Let's look ahead 10 years, or maybe 11. Let's go 2030. Where do you think the farm equipment business will be, and how are we going to change over the next decade?
You know, I think it gets back to our labor force. Okay, our skilled labor force is shrinking, and this equipment is big. The days of maybe finding a retired farmer or something who wants to come out and run your grain cart in the fall, I don't know how long that's going to be. So I think autonomy is going to be part of our business. To what extent, I'm not sure. But it's going to be part of our business, and so artificial intelligence and autonomy is going to be there. I think we're going to start to see a lot more sensor-driven decision makings, whether it's soil moisture probes, some form of a nitrogen readout probe, something along those lines, so a farmer can make real-time decisions from his office.
Right.
And
Deere is investing pretty heavily along these lines.
Yes. Yes. I also think that we're probably going to get to the point where, you know, we're managing by the plant or by the seed, not by the acre. You know, I like to say that we hopefully someday we're going to give each seed a serial number. You know, so that's where I think we want to get, but that's going to lead to that artificial intelligence, that we're going to care for that one plant, that plant in that field needs this nutrients, and we're going to have the technology to go through the field and get to that location where that plant is and give him the right amount of food.
Now, Scott, hearing you talk about that with that kind of passion, that makes me think you've been hanging around Van Wall equipment owner Don Van Houweling a little bit. I love Don, but visionary.
Yes.
So I could tell you were getting excited talking about the future. And I mean, what is it that you love about this farm equipment business, Scott?
You know, it's something altruistic about it, that I may not be the one growing the crops and producing food for the world, but I have a part in it. So it's almost something bigger than myself. That and here at Van Wall, I've had the opportunity to work on pieces of equipment that are one of one in the world. I don't know of other places where I've been able to just brainstorm and come up with a solution that nobody else had on this planet.
And what would you say about your decade of working for Van Wall Equipment and how they're, you know, just tell us about what kind of place it is to work.
You know, it's great. It's a family-owned business. You know, we're very family-oriented, family-focused, and I've been given the freedom. If I have an idea, I can bring it to our leadership and see where it goes from there. We're very hardworking. I just like everybody that I work with. I can honestly say, in almost 10 years of working here, I've never had 2 days the same. Never.
Well, that's good. That's a recipe for a happy, successful career.
Oh, it is.
Ram Trucks, premier vehicle of Machinery Pete TV.